Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in to another vlog, and thank you also for your patience. I just recently moved to a new apartment in November, which is why I'm sitting in front of a slightly new background, and also on a new IKEA chair. And because it was IKEA, it was under $60. That IKEA's got good stuff. It always smells so good in there too. Anyways, I am still trying to unpack and create new routines for myself, so I really do appreciate your patience during this whole process. Today's video is going to be my first official installment of the Conversations with God project. Yay! And to be clear, you don't have to have read any of these books in order to follow along with this series. My hope is that this series will be interesting to anyone who is exploring spirituality. And for this beginning vlog, I just wanted to share where I was in my life when I first found these books, why the opening of book one was so meaningful to me, and why those beginning pages are still powerful to me even today. So I first came into contact with these books when I was around about 21, I think. I was still in college and could just barely drink legally, and I still thought that crop tops and bedazzled sunglasses were super stylish on me, which is just bad ideas on all fronts, including the bedazzled sunglasses. I also get the Asian flush when I drink, so it just wasn't cute. It just was not cute on any level. It was the early aughts. What can I say? It was a confusing time, some of which had to do with alcohol and the fashion, but more so with me just trying to figure out who I was in the world. I had come from a conservative Catholic religious tradition where I was taught repeatedly that there was no spiritual space ever for someone like me, whether that was due to sexuality, gender, race, political beliefs, or just very different ideas about God. So the only models of spirituality I had were based on anguish or nothingness. And as I started my 20s and was exploring all of my identity, I wasn't able to reconcile my intuition of an all-loving, all-powerful God and my experience of our human world, which was filled with strife and horrible injustice. This led me to feeling spiritually hopeless, where I was about to give up on God entirely and walk away from any life of faith. It was around this time that a respected mentor saw me struggling, and she recommended a book called Conversations with God. She said that book might be able to help me as this book had helped her. So I immediately went out and I got these books. I got them at Powell's bookstore, the one on Burnside, I believe. And the moment I opened up the book and read those first few pages, I fell in love with it instantly. As I started reading, I knew that God had heard my desperate cries and that I had found the answers to my prayers. To paraphrase another spiritual writer, Rob Bell, this moment can be thought of as the cry. This moment of the cry, when a person is desperately and urgently crying out to God, can become an important part of a spiritual awakening. I certainly know that it was in mine. It's also where the first Conversations with God book opens, which immediately drew me in when I got the book. The author, Neale Walsch, starts by describing his first conversation with God. Neale was actually in a very deep depression, with his life in crisis on every level. And then all of his rage and pain end up pouring out into a written letter directed at God, accusing God of punishing him. At the end of the letter, Neale feels this new, seemingly autonomous voice spring up in his heart and in his mind, and this voice makes itself known through Neale's own handwriting. And this new voice responds to Neale's accusations and then starts to engage Neale in a conversation. And while the voice isn't overly concerned with Neale defining where this voice is coming from, the voice says that it may be closest to what we call God, in our human language. So it's from this place, from this genuine dialogue, that a contemporary conversation with God was born. As I was rereading the opening of this first book this year, I was struck by how powerful that opening still was. It always moved me that this conversation between Neale and God didn't start at a time of perfection in Neale's life, but rather it happened to Neale when he was at the end of his own power and when he was crying out to the heavens in rage and pain, just like I had done all those years ago. So when I look back at my 20-year-old self, with my bedazzled sunglasses and all, I can see how important my own cry was to my journey, because it was at that moment when I cried out to the heavens in desperation that God showed me a new doorway was possible. And at least in my own journey, I can say that I definitely needed to be pushed to my breaking point before I would have my breakthrough. And as for this present time in 2020, I know that I also have been crying out a lot this year to God for solace and for answers. I don't know where my current cries will lead or what the future holds. But when I look back over my life, I have seen that my cry can sometimes become a compass toward a new consciousness and a new kind of conversation. And I'm trying to take solace in that belief right now too. So I think that's all I have now for this first video. Thank you so much for taking the time to stop by and to watch this. I hope that this is helpful in any way to you. And if you have any vlogs you'd like to see me do around spirituality or the Conversations with God books, please let me know. So until next time, I wish you peace and hope for this new year. And if you're going through your own cry, I hope you find solace and comfort very soon. Bye everyone. Thanks so much for watching.